So here we're at part three of the rebuild. I'm doing the rocker shaft assembly. I bought new rockers and the shaft. I'm waiting for the caps because I couldn't find it, and I'll mention that later on. And I'm just for good. The other rockers are still good and they're OEM, so I kind of cleaned them up and set them aside. And then I bought some aftermarket ones that I'm going to be installing with the aftermarket shaft. And I'm using zip ties because if anybody's really messed with these or any other kind of older vehicle, they are very prone to just, pop out and everything go all over the place. And then you've got to, well, a good tip is to always take pictures of things before they were disassembled and kind of go back and reference them. But don't like completely count on that being the only way to reference it because somebody might have assembled it incorrectly. So kind of balance that along with the manual. Right here, you're going to see I'm having kind of a hard time finding the best way to remove. I wanted to tap and make sure all of the threads are clear because these are actually kind of you kind of pinch to secure them on once you've sized or done the cap or the distances between them. And if you don't do them, if it's not like a smooth transition, it's always kind of a pain to sort out. So it's always good to use that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, dude. Just one sec. What's up?
I know it's completely not necessary, but I just decided to while I'm doing it, I just want to clear off a lot of the casting marks on these. I'm already there. I've got a little bit of time. The ultrasonic cleaner is ready to go, so why not?
So I'd stamped before the number 1. I don't know if you can see. There's a number 1 that I just stamped there, and then right here I see it's got a number 1. I don't know if you can make that out, but right there. And right here it's got a number 4. And I pulled that off of the number 4, which is correct. And right here I stamped a number 5. But right here it says a number 3. Here it's a number 2. It says number 3. Here it says number 1. This is number 3. Look at the install guide. See if there's a difference, and we'll measure it out and see what's going on.
So right here, I finally reached the point where I'm starting to put together the rocker shaft assembly, and so these guys are getting dropped in, and they marry into, or they dock kind of into, like this brass washer type thing, and you can, if you've done it before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it's a conical shape on the shaft, and it goes into it kind of docks in there, and you'll kind of feel it kind of drop in there, kind of like I don't know. It's kind of like a bowl, and you're dropping something like a ball into it, and so you kind of have to make sure that you're getting it nicely in there, and you can tell when that's happened because when you've got the assembly lube in there, it'll kind of create like a suction effect, and so you'll see it kind of lift up with it. Just make sure you're doing that. Just make sure it kind of naturally drops in there. So here you'll see that I'm putting on a little bit of the cold bluing solution after I've done a very superficial cleanup of the rust and all debris from the injectors. I haven't really done anything on the inside. It's kind of like the mysterious inner parts of the injector, and unless you're, you know, unless you've got like a backup set and you're okay with wrecking yours, or obviously you've got a shop or you're extremely experienced with them, I wouldn't take one apart, to be honest. Mine came out working, so hopefully it should go in working. You'll see that I'm just using this bluing solution just to kind of help out and mitigate the rust. And then you'll also see that after I'm done doing that, I'm going to drop all four injectors just in a bath of diesel fuel just to leave it there until it's ready to get assembled. So here you'll see that I'm starting to work on the injection pump. Like the fuel injectors, I'm just not very experienced with working on these. Although these are a Bosch system and they're relatively easy to work on, I'm doing superficial type maintenance seals. I'm updating the pin to add more to make the turbo boost come on a little bit earlier. It's a very common aftermarket system. It's just basically the slope is a little bit more inclined, so the pin opens up at an earlier point and allows the turbo to spool up a little bit earlier. Here I'm reassembling the throttle linkage system. And you'll notice in just a little bit that I'm going to grab my cell phone and I'm going to reference the pictures that I had before, because it is uh, you for some reason you think that you remember exactly how things go together, and then one thing leads to another, a day goes by, or something just calls your attention, and then you immediately forget how everything goes together. And although there's a logic to it and you'll be able to reassemble it, because most of the time the engineers put it together that or made it so it can only go one way. It's just a lot easier to pull out your cell phone and to reference that, even though every time you put your hands in your pockets, you're making your pockets filthy and you're gumming your cell phone up. Um, but besides that, if somebody has a solution to that problem. But besides that, your cell phone is your friend. There I am with my cell phone, trying to zoom in. It's funny how Face ID can tell who you are and what you're doing, but for some reason they don't notice that it doesn't notice that you're looking at a picture, so the screen keeps turning off and dimming. I wish there was an option saying, hey, you've tried to um, keep your screen alive more than once. Do you want to keep this screen open because it looks as though you're referencing a picture? That would be a cool option. So right here, I'm just going to do a quick freeze frame to show you where the pin is, that aftermarket type pin that you put in to increase the slope on it. I'm pretty sure that was the original one because the new one was coming in, but it's the same thing. It's just a little bit more pronounced of a slope. So right here you're seeing me drop in the fuel injectors. I did add a little bit of dielectric grease between the crush washers and the injectors just to let them hold their place as I drop it in there. And I did use a little bit of anti-seize, kind of like the aluminum based anti-seize, just around the injectors or where the injectors, meet the head. I'm also using stainless steel um, nuts to tighten it on there. I think I'm going to teach. I haven't. I don't remember if I've got any, but I'm pretty sure they're M8 1.25s, and I might actually get ones with nylon on there just to help it keep its location. To be honest, they've never really backed out, but I don't really know because I haven't marked them. I never marked them before, but I will now. Right now, I am just getting the torque set up as I start tightening the. I'm pretty sure I'm going to tighten the um, fuel injector hold down or bolts. Yeah. So I don't remember what the torque is for them, but I think they're all, well, I'm not even going to say. I don't remember, but it's relatively very typical to the M8 style bolt.
Blocking off the vacuum pump. I'm just going to run an electric one. Lift pump just barely got torqued. Just set up the fuel injectors. Obviously the head's in there. I'm waiting for the glow plugs and also the tappets I cannot find, and so I've just set them aside. If I find, I have a set. If I find them, put them in, but I ordered some new ones. They're cheap enough. What else has been done? Oh, I was putting together the injection pump, and I'm like, this is gonna rust out in 2 seconds. So I just went and threw a little bit of spray paint on the areas that will see weather, and then yeah, that's it.
Right here, I'm just going to spray into the cap a little bit of kind of chemical resistant black paint, just some Rust-Oleum, regular typical stuff you just get from the hardware store. Just putting it onto a Q-tip, and I hate rust, and I just want to put it on all the places where it's just bare metal, just to keep it from rusting. It's not about it being pretty; it's just about mitigating the rust on it. Now I'm removing all the seals off of the cover, and it's always, a little bit hectic and a little bit worrisome to deal with just these big cast aluminum parts, but onto the floor I go, and here I'm just, gently trying to use what I can to evenly distribute um, the pressure as I'm hammering gently these new seals into place. So try to do that as lightly as possible. Then I just thought, instead of using kind of a bigger blunt force hammer, use kind of that a lighter kind of plastic one to, avoid catching anything or deforming anything. So after I finished putting up the assembly lube and getting everything sorted out, I used a little bit of brake clean to clean up the mating surfaces, and I couldn't find anything in the manual. I didn't see any sort of gasket or sealant. When I pulled it off, there wasn't any. So it's just, I think, a nice flat fit seal. But to be completely honest, I think just a little bit of, Hylamar blue type sealant, which kind of never really hardens up. And I put just the tiniest amount. You probably couldn't even see it, but just enough just to make a good solid little seal, because you are putting a steel plate onto a piece of cast aluminum, and just after all these years, something might have warped, and just the Hylamar blue is just a little bit of insurance. And if you put just the tiniest coating of it, you should be completely fine. I really doubt that any Hylamar or that RTV type sealant got into the the oily bits, I suppose. Here I'm just torquing it, and I hate using torque or the torque wrench to with Phillips head screws. It's just the worst. But anyway, It got sorted and it's all nice and tightened up, and so we can proceed with that. I made a little, just a little bowl. It's an M8 with a longer kind of nut in the middle, so I can just kind of put that where I want it, and I can actually clock the oil pump to make it more easy, or to make it easier for me to, put the rear timing case back in. So as always, you can probably see in the background with the blue markers, I've actually numbered all of the, I numbered the tightening sequence. To me, it's just a good way to, always know where to, start applying the torque sequence to these kind of big aluminum plates, especially um, when you're tightening stuff that's, non-similar metals like a cast aluminum onto a cast iron block. And then after I'm done doing that, and I know that I've done the whole count, I'll just use my marker, the red one, to kind of just let myself know that I've torqued all of these to spec. Here I sprayed a little bit of the green that I sprayed the block with, and I just put it on a Q-tip, and I'm just running it across the seal. Just while I'm there, just make sure everything's, or just help things look a little bit nicer, tidy things up. My um, glow plugs, sorry, finally came in, and so I'm just putting a little bit of Loctite in there, or not Loctite, Loctite brand um, anti-seize. It's a little bit of aluminum-based anti-seize paste in there, just to obviously help with removal when necessary, and just a quick torque on those, and a little bit of marker, just letting myself know that I have tightened those.
Kind of forgot to hit record, my bad. So what I did with the timing is I turned it over, set the pin, make sure it can go in nice and smoothly. Then right here, I'm able to remove this little guy right here. If you can see that, it's like a little spacer. It kind of rests in here, and when it's there, it leaves it loose. But when you take it off, it can actually act as a clamp to hold it down in time. So there are two ways of doing it. But this way, actually, you can. So now that this is clamped down right here, with the spacer removed, I'm able to remove this, and it'll stay locked up. If this had been loose, and I were to remove this guy right here, it would jump forward a little bit, right? So this right here locks it down the same way as the other. That way I'm able to remove this and just make sure the, with the gauge, a dial indicator, make sure that it's injecting perfectly with the first one. Then I just torqued them all down. I had to remove this one right here because I forgot that this bracket right here fits on there, and then is secured on right there. I used some stainless bolts, and I like the nylon. I didn't do nylon here or the other one because it's just a pain to get to, and I don't want that resistance. But I at least want one nylon right here, all 13 mil, but at least one nylon to just kind of keep it secure. Put in a new little off plunger, or whatever it's called. And then you saw the injectors, or sorry, the glow plugs are in. And we're getting close. I think the next step is timing. So.
So as I was wrapping this and putting this in, it reminded me of that funny kind of gif of the guy eating the cotton candy, and they play it in reverse, and it just looks like it's coming out of his mouth. So I split the video sequence and did the same thing, so it kind of looks like I'm unpacking the paper and then packing it all back in, just for giggles. Just to be fair, this is not under pressure. I know there's a gasket, but I think I mixed up one of them with another. It doesn't fit quite nicely, and I just wanted it to be, this will make a perfect seal. Very light coat, and it's a drainage line, actually. So it's not under pressure on either end. But I'm more worried about it actually coming undone, so just a little dab.
It's not tight. Tie him up.
that part's going to be oiled, and then the outside area is going to have just the tiniest bit of RTV, almost nothing. And if you're wondering what this stuff is, it's like 95% lacquer thinner, 5% WD-40, and the WD-40 is mostly just to maintain the pump lubricated. First. This is an M6, and there was fulcrum point was pretty long, so maybe it didn't feel that much. Okay, that's cleaned up here. Got that here. Little marker. Done that. Done that. Just a little bit, just the tip, just to see how it feels. I would crank it over, but the caps, the valve, the whole top part valve parts aren't set up completely because I can't find my caps, and to be honest, they looked fine, but, you know, for a few bucks. I just bought another set, and actually, I was looking online, and people were saying that some of the Volkswagen ones are actually a little bit better. They're more, I don't know, hard, a bit more, you know, they're hardened. And it doesn't seem like it would hurt, so I ordered those guys. They're coming, so I'm here in Salt Lake City, so they're coming from Oklahoma, which is like pretty much I think the same zone or within like a zone of delivery. Ordered them yesterday. They should arrive tomorrow, versus I'm getting them from the East Coast, which takes a lot longer. A little piece of paper fell in there, so it'll be okay. Alright, all threads have been chased. And I've cleaned as much as I could with a Q-tip. I mean, look how many Q-tips I've used. That's just for the oil pan bolts. There's just a lot of, I mean, obviously, sludge and just debris. A lot of silicone. I mean, which is to be expected, right? Because these are silicone closed. Really want to turn this over, but I don't want to do it without the caps. Alright, where is the pan? So when I went online to order one, this is the 300 TDI version, is it the same as the V8? Because I ordered the V8 one because it looked exactly the same. So I just measured it out. It's the same. Should I put a time capsule message?
I kind of wanted to leave a message. I didn't know what to write, so I just put the date and then a paraphrase of, you know, Lord of the Rings.
It says right here, do not use tap to remove Loctite from bolts. I used the tap and I removed all the gunk I could have. But I did reapply Loctite. So right there. Right there.
Only thing is, I bet some people are thinking I didn't put enough, and other people are thinking I put too much. So I kind of just do it on both sides. Like I do a very light pass over one of the surfaces, and the other one with a thinner bead. It's got a little bit of a ridge. Just in case there's some contaminant on one side, I'll be able to see because it won't slide. It won't stick, you know? So that's why I did that. And it's so much easier doing this. You're not upside down. Your M8 by 10 that I'm using. Got some nice stainless ones. Okay.
We are at
21. Check that sump drain plug is tight to 35 newton meters. Et finalement, 22. C'est parfait. Incroyable. Exactement. It's not like an exact test to be able to know how much exactly like oozed into the inside. But if this is the amount that I wiped off and it was a nice consistent, bead, that means it's going to dry up okay in there and it'll be just fine. That's the way.
So I got the filthy flywheel set out here, and it came off of, this whole drivetrain came off of a running Defender 90 from the UK, that a shop locally is just doing a Chevy LS swap, and so that's where I got the engine and drivetrain from. And so it came off of a running engine and drivetrain. So there's no reason why the clutch system and the whole, drivetrain is bad. I'm just doing all around just a cleanup. And judging from like the engine when I rebuilt it, it things are in pretty good condition. They're just nicely worn, but nothing's really broken, nothing catastrophic. So here I am just going to clean it up, and you'll see that I'm going to use, a couple flap discs, some sandpaper, abrasive to clean up the surface. But after I'm done doing that, and I know, it should be, brought to a shop and, honed and lathed, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, clear up all the surface rust and debris, and then, tap it, make sure all the threads are clear. But then you'll see that I'm going to, check the tolerances, and you'll see that I couldn't find any real issue with it.
0.127 millimeters. I don't know if you're able to see it, but there's an ever so slight ridge right over here. So just give it a quick sand just to get rid of it. I don't want anything to nick. You know, when the starter engages, it pulls or grabs on anything. Okay. This guy was really chewed up, and because of that I was gonna wanted to just replace it, but because the threads were so chewed up I decided to tap it for M22 1.5, and then I embossed right here, I don't know if you can see it, but it says M22 1.5, just so the next guy, or a reminder for me, will know that this has been tapped a little bit. The threads changed, and then that way I can use this right here, which is an M22 1.5, and can act as a sensor to deal with the electric fan. Just like to use a little dielectric grease. So this right here is the gasket. It's a nice, you know, it's some sort of metal. I think it's steel. And it's got a little emboss right here in order for it to, you know, seal up. And that's for a perfect surface. But if you look at this, I don't know if you can see it, but it's pretty imperfect. I mean, there's a lot of cavitation, just a lot of just chewed away. So, honestly, this guy right here, I really doubt, that would seal up nicely without our TV. Could you take it to a machine shop and have it machined away? Nice flat surface? Definitely. Is that practical? No, not at all. That makes, I don't know. I doubt it. Even if you went to a machine shop and gave them the block and told them to, go over everything, I doubt they would machine that.
So that's just me finishing up with the water pump, getting everything, secured, using some more of that, my favorite Hylamar seal. The timing belt is on, and things are ready to go. Get ready for episode 3, episode 4 on the rebuild, which should be coming out pretty soon. I'm just going to add some footage right here of exactly where I'm at. So right here, I'm at the computer, finishing this edit, and so I'm just going to grab my phone and film kind of where I'm at right now, just to kind of show you guys the progress and what's to come. So right here, I'm just kind of finishing the edit, and like I mentioned, I just wanted to show where I'm at right now with what's going on. So you can go check it out. So here's the transfer case. It's kind of all ready to go. Just got to freshen up, reseal. Here's the engine, where I'm at so far. And I'm just doing some wiring, preventative maintenance. Like I mentioned before, I blocked off, the vacuum, the mechanical vacuum pump, and I'm using an electrical vacuum pump. And I relocated the air filter housing so that way it's not pulling from, or it's not resting on head bolts. Here's the old engine that I've already pulled, and that's the comparison. You've got the air filter housing resting on head bolts. Right here, I chopped it and I have it running lower, and so it's actually being bolted onto the block instead of the head through the head bolts. Finally, here's the transmission with the short shift kit. That's, running nice. I also took off a little bit from the shifter because this raises it up 3/4 of an inch, about 18 mil. And so because of that, I just shortened this up because it keeps the throw a little bit lower, and it helps because I've got an air conditioning system on my truck. Also, there's Britannica Restorations modification kit on the clutch fork. It's a little bit more heavy duty, and it's got a nylon bushing to help with the wear. So that's about it. The truck is just outside right here. Here's our truck. This is where we're at so far. And there's a lot of cleanup I've got to do. Make sure everything's sorted out. The transmission support needs to, or I just added some brackets and kind of helped make sure it's, nice and clean and sorted. And so here it is. I just used a little bit of seam sealer that's drying off, and I welded on some brackets to help with it. And so that way you know, it's going to just strengthen it a little bit more, because the corrosion where the you know, the bracket meets the chassis, it's just, you know, it's just a disaster how badly it can corrode. And so anything that'll help strengthen these, you know, is good.